They speak of virtue as if it were armor, as if righteousness alone could protect one from the knives hidden behind every smile. These people are the idealists, the ones who see the world not as it is, but as they wish it to be. They are not dangerous because they are cruel or deceitful. They are dangerous because they are blind. Blind to the nature of men, blind to the hunger that governs ambition, blind to the truth that the world moves not by kindness but by fear, need, and calculation. They cling to fantasy with the grip of a zealot, and their delusions invite destruction. In court, in council, or in conquest, they are the first to appeal to the gods of morality, justice, and fairness. They talk of peace while enemies sharpen blades. They quote principles when decisions demand ruthlessness. They hesitate when boldness is required. They will not stain their hands, and they will curse yours when you stain yours for their protection. They prefer to be seen as good rather than to be effective, and when the time comes to act, they freeze, because they believe acting with force corrupts. They believe survival must be earned through purity, and so they perish and take others with them. They are incapable of understanding that the world is built not on ideals, but on hard choices. When they speak of love, they forget fear. When they speak of truth, they forget timing. When they speak of peace, they forget power. Their words may sound noble, but their advice is poison. It softens judgment. It clouds instinct. It creates hesitation where clarity is needed. And the worst part is this: they believe themselves to be better than those who succeed. In their minds, virtue is its own reward. But reward without results is delusion. You may see them in positions of influence, teachers, philosophers, advisors, preaching about how the world should be. But they have no scars, no victories, no understanding of what it costs to lead. They believe evil is loud, visible, and obvious. They never notice how often destruction comes wearing robes of righteousness. You'll find them giving counsel in moments of crisis, urging patience when the knife should be drawn, urging negotiation when the opponent has already chosen war. They cannot see betrayal until it strikes, and then they act shocked, as if the serpent was not hissing all along. They present themselves as the wounded, the misunderstood, the perpetually wrong. Their strength lies not in power, but in the ability to draw sympathy, to twist perception, to make others carry the burden of their failures. These are the chronic victims, those who define themselves not by what they build, but by what they suffer. They see oppression in every shadow, injustice in every slight. The world is always against them, and they make sure everyone around them feels it. They don't seek solutions, they seek attention, protection, and someone to blame. These people are emotional parasites. They thrive on guilt, not their own, yours. They make you question your decisions, your tone, your motives. You find yourself explaining what you never meant to say, apologizing for truths, compromising on things that should never be compromised. Every encounter with them becomes a careful dance, because even silence can be used against you. They interpret neglect where there is distance, betrayal where there is strategy, cruelty where there is discipline, and each time they become more skilled at making others feel responsible for their misery. They weaponize weakness. Where most would find shame in dependency, they find leverage. They build alliances through shared pain, never ambition. Misery becomes a bond. Their loyalty is only to those who enable them. The moment you stop feeding their need for attention, the moment you demand accountability, they turn cold, or worse, they turn others against you, playing the part of the wounded loyalist betrayed by the very hand that helped them. In this way, they poison groups, sabotage unity, and weaken leaders from within. They are the invisible wedge between minds that should be aligned. They have no ambition for power, yet they wield it subtly. While others fight openly for position, the chronic victim manipulates from beneath. They create factions through pity, generate influence by appearing harmless. But harm done through manipulation is no less fatal. In fact, it's more insidious. It does not warn. It does not confront. It corrodes quietly. And those who fall for it find themselves slowly stripped of clarity, forced into roles of protector, fixer, and caretaker. Roles no leader should be trapped in. These people will never admit fault, never accept discipline, never carry the cost of their own weakness. They will simply shift the weight onto others and continue to walk as if noble in suffering, while dragging down those strong enough to have stood without them. They are ruled not by reason but by impulse. Their loyalty, rage, jealousy, and fear shift with the wind. These are the uncontrolled emotionals, people who cannot separate momentary feeling from lasting judgment. One minute they praise you with devotion, the next they curse your name over a perceived slight. They are not strategic, they are reactive. And that makes them volatile, unpredictable, and dangerous. They may appear passionate and intense, but passion without discipline is fire without control. It burns everything, even allies. In conversation, they interrupt with outrage. In decision-making, they act before thinking. When faced with insult or challenge, they do not weigh consequences. They strike, often at the wrong target at the wrong time, with the wrong weapon. They see neutrality as betrayal, calm as indifference, silence as disrespect. To them, emotion is truth, and truth is immediate. Their feelings override facts. Their mood becomes their law, and they expect others to adjust their reality to accommodate this chaos. Their alliances are short-lived. Today, they swear loyalty. Tomorrow, they say they were never understood. Their sensitivity is not a sign of depth but instability. They collect slights, interpret gestures as threats, and magnify words until they become wounds. They often claim to be victims of intensity, as if their fury were a curse placed upon them by others. But what they really fear is control, yours or their own. Because control means self-restraint, and that means silencing the drama they have built their identity upon. These people thrive in environments where emotion is unchecked. They stir conflict, then play peacemaker. They ignite suspicion, then act shocked by the fire they started. Their presence turns strategy into damage control. When they are included in councils or circles of influence, they turn rational discussion into emotional theater. Their insecurity demands attention, and that attention distracts from what matters. In moments where clarity is needed, they inject confusion. In times where patience is key, they explode with demands. When unity is critical, they fracture trust with suspicion and outbursts. Their chaos becomes your burden. You find yourself explaining logic to people who do not care for it. You waste time navigating their mood swings instead of executing plans. You adjust your tone, censor your words, and sacrifice momentum, all to avoid their next eruption. They do not build, they disturb. They do not challenge, they destabilize. And worst of all, they are unaware of the damage they cause. They believe themselves honest, real, raw. But what they are is ungoverned. And what is ungoverned cannot be trusted near power. They arrive with compliments, with soft words and warm eyes. They know exactly what to say and when to say it. They make you feel seen, understood, admired. But their admiration is not loyalty. It is calculation. These are the flatterers, and they are the most charming form of poison. They study the desires of others, not to fulfill them, but to use them. They mirror your strengths, echo your thoughts, and praise your image not because they believe in it, but because they know how much you want to hear it. They never contradict you openly. They smile in agreement, nod in submission, and wait. They let you believe you are in control, while slowly bending your will to theirs. Flattery is their leash, and if you crave praise, they will lead you like a dog. They do not challenge your views because they are not there for truth. They are there to rise, to secure position, to gain influence through proximity to power. And they know that the easiest way to your side is through your ego. They offer you a mirror that shows only your perfection. And over time, you start to believe it. You begin to silence critics, ignore warnings, reject counsel that sounds too sharp. The truth becomes abrasive compared to their soothing admiration. And by the time you realize you're surrounded by echoes instead of minds, your judgment has already decayed. These people do not stab you. They let you decay from within. With every sweet lie they whisper. Flatterers are opportunists. If your fortune falls, they vanish. If another figure gains prominence, they shift their allegiance with grace. Their loyalty is to advantage, not to principle. They are shapeshifters, never fully exposed, always adapting. They rise in courts, in companies, in any hierarchy where pride is the ruler's weakness. They understand that truth is dangerous and lies, when carefully chosen, are currency. And they spend that currency to buy influence, protection, and access. What makes them especially dangerous is that they appear harmless. They do not argue, they do not threaten, they do not compete openly. Their weapons are hidden in praise. Their manipulation is buried under charm, and most leaders are too proud to recognize the trap. They confuse agreement for support. They believe admiration is respect, and by the time the flatterer's mask slips, the damage is already done. The leader's vision is clouded, the inner circle corrupted, the throne surrounded not by soldiers but by sycophants who offer no defense when the real attack comes. They do not shout. They do not rebel openly. They observe quietly as others rise. Every success they witness burns them with silent rage. These are the envious, people who may smile in your presence but carry a grudge in their hearts. They are patient, subtle, and dangerous. Envy is not loud like anger or impulsive like jealousy. It is concealed behind polite words, fake applause, and false loyalty. While others admire you, the envious take notes. They study your moves, not to learn, but to hate with precision. Their danger lies in their disguise. They rarely challenge you directly. Instead, they offer mild suggestions, disguised concern, or passive observations that plant seeds of doubt in others. They poison your name without using it. They hide criticism in compliments. If you fail, they will mourn publicly but celebrate privately. If you succeed, they will claim luck, timing, or favoritism. No achievement you earn will be safe from their quiet resentment. They are threatened not because you harm them, but because your excellence exposes their mediocrity. Your rise makes them feel small. They will never admit this, of course. Instead, they will craft narratives where you are unfair, arrogant, or undeserving. They do not envy wealth alone. They envy the attention it brings. They do not envy power alone. They envy the influence it commands. Most of all, they envy the respect you inspire, because deep down, they know they cannot earn it. These people are not always strangers. They can be friends, advisors, even family. Often they are those who began beside you but could not keep pace. And instead of accepting their limits, they turn their disappointment into quiet hatred. They believe the world owes them what you earned. They will wait for your mistake, not to help you correct it, but to make sure everyone sees it. Their support will vanish when you need it. Their silence will become louder than words. They build alliances through shared bitterness. They whisper about your faults to those who already feel inadequate. They create a network of resentment. And by the time you sense something is wrong, you've already been isolated. These people do not need weapons. They use perception. They shift opinion by degrees, until your image is damaged beyond repair. You may not even realize where it started. That's the nature of envy. It is a hidden disease. It grows beneath the surface, feeds on your triumphs, and strikes only when it's sure you no longer see it coming. Power is not maintained by good intentions, but by clear vision and ruthless discernment. The fall of many is not due to strong enemies, but to weak companions allowed too close. The overly virtuous blind you with ideals. The chronic victim drains you with guilt. The emotional turns order into chaos. The flatterer feeds your pride to gain control. The envious plots in silence, and the ungrateful strikes the hand that lifted them. These are not mere flaws. They are infections. One allowed into your circle can destroy everything you've built. Leadership demands vigilance. The throne is not protected by kindness, but by the cold wisdom to cut away what corrupts it.